The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third Thursday webinar. I'm Margot Hoffman with the Partnership for Excellence, and on behalf of the California Council for Excellence, the Mid-Atlantic Alliance for Performance Excellence Northwest, SWAY, Oklahoma Quality New Mexico, and the Partnership for Excellence, we welcome you to our webinar. Today, we're excited to have Polly Walker here from the city of Henderson, who's going to talk about the great things they're doing for their customers and their community. Just a reminder, we will be recording this session, so it will be available to you afterwards. And also, I just want to let you know there are handouts in the control panel. If you look under the handout box, there's a handout of the presentation, and there's also a handout of a customer service flyer that Polly has provided to us. Today, the agenda is, of course, to welcome all of you and go through a few announcements, and then we'll introduce our webinar speaker. And then, of course, we'll have today's session, and we'll have a lot of time for questions after Polly presents. So please think of some questions that you may have. If you do have questions, there's two ways to ask them. One, you can type them in the question box, and we'll read them off to Polly so she can answer them. Or we're keeping everyone muted because we have a lot of attendees today. But if you want to raise your hand, we can unmute your microphone so that you can ask your question. And then at the conclusion of our webinar, we will introduce the webinar for our March 3rd Thursday webinar. Just a reminder, from all of our programs, we do have web pages with our upcoming events. So please look at those web pages regularly and join us for some of these events that are coming up. There's a couple events I want to share with you before we get into our program today. And the first one is the National Quest for Excellence Conference. It's just around the corner. It's April 2nd through 5th in the Washington, D.C. area. And there's just a great lineup of past Baldrige recipients, innovation professionals. Our communities of excellence are going to be presenting there. So it would be great to have you join us in Washington, D.C. in April. And then I just wanted to let you know that the Partnership for Excellence is offering an application writing web series that starts next Tuesday. And it meets once a week for an hour for 6 weeks with homework assignments in between. So if you have folks that you want to have on your organization that know how to write an application, this is a great way to learn about that. And then I want to thank our organizational members. All of our organizations are 501(c)(3)s, and we greatly appreciate the support of our organizational members who allow us to do the things that we do to help cultivate performance excellence within our communities and organizations. So thank you to our organizational members. I would now like to introduce Princess, who is going to introduce Polly. And Princess is with the Southwest Alliance for Excellence, also known as SWAY, with their Board of Overseers, which is the group of volunteers that support the administration and continually improve SWAY's performance excellence program. So I am now going to ask Princess to introduce Polly. Just a second, I'm trying to unmute Princess. Okay, Princess, if you could introduce Polly now.
Sure. Oops. So Polly is the manager of the Office of Performance and Innovation for the City of Henderson, a 2021 recipient of the SWAY Pinnacle Award of Excellence. The Office of Performance and Innovation maximizes organizational performance by providing strategic planning, customer experience, data management, and continuous improvement support and coordination. Polly has 28 years of experience in regional, county, and city government, and she holds a master's degree in public administration from the University of Oklahoma and an MBA from the University of Phoenix.
Okay, and Polly, we're going to turn it over to you, and Polly has her presentation up now, so take it away, Polly.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Princess and Margot, and also the Partnership for Excellence for inviting me to speak this morning, and thanks to all of you for being here. We're very excited here at the City of Henderson to be allowed to present our customer service approach. As Princess mentioned, my name is Polly Walker. I'm the manager of the Office of Performance and Innovation, and our office is a part of the city manager's office at the City of Henderson. We have 5 programs. They're all hinging around performance excellence here at the city. Today I'm presenting our city customer service approach. And when we created this customer service approach, we did it by using the Baldrige framework. We kept that in mind, and that was a driving factor for the way we structured the program. And you're going to see the elements, some of the elements as we go through the presentation together, try and pick out some of the things that align with the criteria. So let me tell you a little bit about Henderson. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to come visit us or who have heard of us. We are a community that is, Las Vegas is right next to us. Our slogan, our motto is a place to call home. We have about 325,000 residents. For a while there, for 4 or 5 years, we were the fastest growing community in the United States. We are what is considered a full service city, meaning we have our own police and fire departments and our own water and wastewater services. We actually have, we're a little bit different than a regular company, a for-profit company, in that we have 17 different departments. They all have their unique services that they provide. For example, we issue business licenses out of our finance business license area. We have recreation centers where customers can come work out and take programs. That's operated out of our Parks and Recreation department. We issue permits so people can build things. That is out of our Development Services Center, which is a part of community development. We also have our own court, municipal court, where people can come pay tickets. So you can see that we have a very wide variety of services that we provide, and we have over 2,000 employees in 17 different departments. Our vision is to be America's premier community. To us, that means we want to be in the top 10% of cities in the United States based on results. So we are very tuned in to our performance measurement system. We try to identify and use KPIs and measures to improve the services we provide. Some of the measures we use to identify if we're being successful in our mission and vision is quality of life. We do a citizen and business survey. Right now we're at a 97% satisfaction with quality of life. That makes us the top scoring city in the United States for mid to large size cities, so we're very proud of that. We also, I believe the last time I put this slideshow together, we were at a 98% satisfaction with face-to-face customer service. We measure that with comment cards at the time of interaction. We have been on our Baldrige journey since 2010. Our city manager is very behind, and our city leaders are very behind using the Baldrige criteria to improve our performance. So, you know, I think when we started on this journey, we thought we'd get it the first time we applied, but it has been a little bit of a longer journey than we planned. But it has reaped great benefits for our organization. There are many improvements we have made and many programs that we have initiated that have been a benefit to our community and our team members since we started this journey. On our 4th application, we were lucky enough to be recognized by the Southwest Alliance for Excellence, which is our regional Baldrige organization, with their top honor, which is the Pinnacle Award. So we are planning next year to go forward to national. Again, you know, it's great to get the awards and the recognition, but for us, it's more about the journey and the feedback we receive. The customer category has guided the creation of this program, and I can tell you it's a direct result of the feedback that we got through our application process. We received some OFIs about how we use data, how we use customer feedback on previous feedback reports, and probably a year and a half or 2 years ago, we decided and put on the strategic plan we were going to figure out a way to launch a customer service program and hire a customer service strategist to lead that program. So bottom line here is Baldrige has brought great benefits to our organization and really helped guide how we manage the organization. So our customer service program, I like to describe it as having kind of 6 pillars to it. There's a customer service philosophy that we have. Margot has put that in the chat box for you. So you have a copy of our one-sheeter that describes the whole philosophy. Within that philosophy, there is a customer service standard. The third pillar is we do have measures of success. I mentioned earlier that we use data for as much as possible to make decisions about our programs and processes. So we do have measures of success that I'll go over with all of you. The fourth pillar is recruitment and training. We also have weaved the program into our performance evaluation process for our individual employees. And finally, we use customers' feedback to determine if we're being successful with our customer service approach. So I'm going to go over each of these pillars next in the presentation. So first, we've got the customer service philosophy. So this is the guiding document and the base for the entire program. It captures what we're trying to accomplish with the program, the overarching principles for our interactions. It is tied to our values. It has defined KPIs or measures for success. And it describes that the customer service steering committee are the ones that provide the guidance and the collaboration that help implement the philosophy. So if you have the document up that's in the chat, you can kind of follow along. I'll give you a high-level overview. When we decided to create this philosophy, the first thing we did is we benchmarked. That's straight out of Baldrige. We looked at other organizations to see how did they craft their philosophy. And so we looked not only to other governments, but we looked at private companies, companies that are well known for customer service. That included like Disney, the Four Seasons. We did research, how do they craft their philosophy? And two things that stuck out right away when we looked at other organizations is they always try to align their philosophy with their organizational values. And the second thing is they usually use acronyms to define their standard. So they choose a catchy acronym. So on the philosophy, we have identified how the philosophy aligns to our values. Our values here at the city are driven, integrity, collaboration, and excellence. So we are driven because we are supporting premier customer service through data-driven decision-making. We simplified integrity because we have a standard that focuses on transparency and information to our customers. Collaboration is a key value because we want to share best practice and approaches via the Customer Service Steering Committee, and it's a two-way conversation because they also provide guidance to the program. And finally, excellence is important to us because our measures have targets that support high performance. We have established citywide targets for performance tied to customer service, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the presentation. So the second pillar, and one of the most important parts of the philosophy, is our premier customer service standard. So it is an acronym. It has an acronym tied to us. Our vision is to be America's premier community So once we defined what our standard is, what do we want to see in every interaction with customers, we tied that to the acronym PREMIER. So the P is for polite and professional. We want our team members to greet, smile, have eye contact, and give every customer a thank you at the end of the interaction. The R is for relationship driven and connected. In many of our customer service areas, we have repeat customers. So we want to try and build those relationships with them where we learn their name, we use their name, and they learn ours, whether it be that we have our badge and they can see our badge or that we introduce ourselves. We want to use those simple techniques to start building a relationship with our customers. The E is for efficient. So part of customer service is we should always try to minimize wait and cycle times. That doesn't mean that we're trying to speed through transactions. That simply means we should constantly be looking at our process and ensuring that we are delivering services in an efficient and quick way, and in a consistent way, right? That we are trying to get them through the line, that they don't have long wait times, and that once they're going through the transaction, that we are looking at that process and ensuring that it is efficient and we are delivering services efficiently. The M is for minimized handoffs. What we're trying to do here with our customer interactions is one-stop shopping. So that doesn't mean that we deliver all services right in one spot. What it does mean is that we try and answer questions that customers may have about other areas. So for example, if a customer comes in and they're getting a business license and the customer is working with that team member to get their license, and at the end of the transaction, the customer wants information on how to get a passport or how to find out information about our recreation programming. That team member can either help them out by looking up the information on the internet or just provide the information and help direct them to the correct place. That goes a long way with customers. I can tell you too, we're lucky here at the city that we have many team members who have worked in 2 or more areas at the city, so they do have the knowledge of other areas and can provide high-level information. Customers really appreciate that. The I is informed customers. So we know, and any of you that work in customer service know that you can't always tell every customer yes, right? Sometimes you have to tell a customer no. But it does go a long way when we're truthful and transparent in our process. So if we do have to tell a customer no based on what our policies are or our charter is, explaining that to the customer goes a long way. So educating them on what the process is and kind of walking them through and educating them on what the steps are goes a long way, because the next time they come, they'll understand it a little bit more, and it might help them navigate the process a little bit better. The E is empathy and respect. We should treat every customer like we want to be treated, with understanding and care. And then finally, the R is right the first time. We want to be accurate with our work. We do not want to have customers to have to come back a second time because a T wasn't crossed or an I wasn't dotted. We want to have accurate work. Right the first time is very important. So that's our premier customer service standard or approach. The third pillar is measures of success. This is also a very important area of the philosophy. We are a very data-driven organization. That is something that we are trying to put an emphasis on, is like, how do you know you're being successful? You need to measure what you're doing to understand if your processes are working right and we're delivering top-notch service. So right on the philosophy, we have identified 5 measures of success. We look at average call wait time, average customer walk-in wait time, abandonment rate, the customer satisfaction score, which we measure that via our comment cards and also our citizen and business survey, And then finally, response rate. And I'll talk a little bit about each of these. Average call wait time is the time between the call gets picked up and the time they actually talk to an operator. We have the ability to measure this in our call centers. We have a system called Cisco, and we do pull quarterly reports. The customer service managers are also looking at that, but we pull quarterly department reports so they can see their overall average call wait time. Average customer walk-in wait time, we can measure that in areas that utilize the QList system. I don't know if any of you are familiar with QList here in our valley. A great example of another organization that uses QList is our Department of Motor Vehicles. QList, when the customer comes up, they get a number through QList, and it helps queue them in the system. The system has really good reporting capabilities and can give us report outs on walk-in wait time, and we do pull those quarterly as well. And we have a target for walk-in wait time for areas that have 5,000 or less walk-in customers annually of 10 minutes or less. And then our higher volume areas, it's 20 minutes or less. And I'll go back to average call wait time. The target for our call center phone calls, the average call wait time target is 5 minutes or less. We established this target through two ways. We looked out and benchmarked other organizations, but we also looked at abandonment rate. So when do customers start to leave? And so we set the target underneath that mark. So I don't remember the exact number, but let's say customers started to leave the service at 6 minutes. We would set the target at 5 minutes. And I will tell you too that these targets, we continue to look at the targets. So if we see we're hit steadily, constantly well below target, we may consider sliding that target down, right? So targets are important, so we know what our goals are, but they are living, and we are looking at them constantly as we do the quarterly reports. Abandonment rate means the customer either hung up the call or they left before they got service. And both the Cisco system and the QList system track that, measure that. In government, it's a little bit different than for-profit organizations where we provide things that they can't get anywhere else. Meaning, if you come and you have to pay a ticket or you have a warrant, it's not like you can go to the city down the street and get your warrant there because we provided back customer service. So customers will wait to get that service. But just because they will wait doesn't mean we should make them wait an inordinate amount of time. I mentioned earlier we want to be efficient. So we do constantly look at abandonment rate. If a customer is leaving before they get the service they were here to get, that's abandonment. And we want to track that and we want to minimize that. We want them to be able to get the service they came here to get. So our abandonment rate target is 5% or less. The customer satisfaction score, again, we measure that through those comment cards that they get at the time of the transaction, and also our citizen and business survey. Comment cards, we give them out a variety of ways to customers. One of the most recent enhancements we made was at the end of the QList transaction, they now get a link to the comment card. So they get texted a link, they click the link, and they can take our comment cards, which is super convenient for the customer because now they can take that survey on the comment card survey on their phone. Our target for customer satisfaction is 90% or better. I believe we're either at 80, the latest for comment cards is either 89 or 91%. And then in the last citizen survey, I think we were at 98%. And then finally, response rate is a target we're looking for. Response rate is more a measure for my team, for our customer service strategist in OPI. We want to try and get as many comment cards and as much customer feedback as we can. After the pandemic, obviously we were closed. Most of our services were closed, so we had no walk-in customers for most of our services. So our comment cards, we were getting like 0, right? Since the time of the pandemic, it's been slow growth coming back. We're seeing a very small response rate. I think it's less than 1%. A good response rate for an ongoing comment card survey is 5 to 10%. So our target is 5%. So our customer service strategist is working on ways to new avenues to get customer comments so we can get that response rate back up to where it was pre-pandemic. So as I say, we look at response rate because if we say we're at 98% customer satisfaction and we only got 2 surveys in, that's really not indicative of all of our customers, right? So we're constantly looking at response rate and looking at ways we can get more comment cards. We're also looking at how can we put comment cards online electronically, because after the pandemic, we saw a shift. Not so many walk-in customers, they're shifting to online services. Which was just a result of the pandemic. So we need to figure out ways to get comment cards on our online services. So our strategist is working on that. 4th pillar, recruitment and training. You know, so now you've got your philosophy in place and you've got this standard. I don't want to use this word stale, but it's like a document, right? So now you need to make it live and breathe. How do you make it live and breathe? Well, you get the team member buy-in on it. You get their engagement on it. You get their belief in it. You find ways to push it out to the team members so they understand it, they embrace it. So there's a couple different ways that we engage the team members in the philosophy. They have to know what it is. They have to be engaged in what it is to use it and believe in it. So the standard, the Premier Customer Service Standard, was developed by our Customer Service Steering Committee, which is comprised of 1 or 2 people from every department. And the question I asked them was, how would you define the way we deliver customer service here at the City of Henderson? So they wrote out all kind of the attributes, and that's how we came up with the Premier Standard. So the steering committee came up with the standard, and the next step of this is using it, training to it, making sure all of our new people, all of our new customer service folks coming on are aware of it, and they can use the standard, display the standard as they're interacting with customers. So on the recruitment side, when we attract new team members, we want to make sure that they display these elements that we think are important in customer service. Are they relationship driven? Do they show empathy and respect in interactions? Do they put emphasis on being polite and professional? So we want to hire the right employees by using application and screening questions that are aligned with our standard, and by crafting interview questions that are aligned with the standard. And then the second piece of this is making sure we are teaching all team members about the Premier Customer Service Standard. So as I mentioned, our steering committee came up with the standard, which they said illustrates and exemplifies how we're doing customer service today. But we need to train everybody so everybody is consistently doing it throughout the organization, right? Everybody's on an even playing field, so no matter where the customer goes, they get a similar high quality premier customer service experience. And also, so when our new people come on, we continue to provide that high level of premier customer service. So it's training. We are in the process of rolling out training to not only all 2,000 of our full-time employees, but all of our part-time employees as well. So we're going to try and touch every employee, whether it be through new employee orientation, face-to-face training, collateral materials that we're passing out, on-demand trainings. This is a big, the focus of the program for the next 5 months is training, 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 and then there'll be ongoing training after that to ensure everybody is on board, engaged, and using the Premier Customer Service Standard. I will also let you know while we're at this slide that we are projecting that right now and over the next 3 or 4 years, that up to 33% of our team may be retiring. We had a big hiring as the city grew and was one of the fastest growing cities in the nation. We hired a lot of people. Well, all those people are coming to retirement age now. So the way that we deliver customer service, the only way we can ensure that we continue to provide that high level of customer service is by training this customer service standard. So that's why the standard is really important to us and why training is so important. So after you train and everybody's on board, they understand it, they use it, they should be using it as they interact with customers. There's still clear standards and goals. There's a way to measure how they're delivering the customer service. We want to hold people accountable. So we want to observe, are they using the Premier Customer Service approach in every customer interaction? Are they getting good comment card results? Are they getting high customer satisfaction? And if they're not, they're going to need to get refresher training. They're going to need to get feedback from their managers. So having a standard that has clear approaches outlined in it and clear measures of success will enable us to make sure and hold people accountable to those items. And then finally, customer feedback. That's right out of the Baldrige criteria. It's super important that we have a wide variety of ways that we get customer feedback, not only so we can listen to their requirements, but to ensure that, again, we're delivering this premier customer service to them. So one of the things that was a strength on our feedback report is the wide variety of feedback mechanisms we have for customers. We have things like that community survey. It goes out citywide. Every year, one year we do the residents and the next year we do businesses. We have comment cards that go out via phone call, via email transactions, and via face-to-face interactions. We have boards and committees. That's another way we get customer feedback. We have, I think there's like 20 or 25 boards and committees here at the city that provide guidance to our different departments who have great ideas and great feedback on how we are doing things. So we use boards and committees to get feedback as well. We have work groups. We have a wide variety of work groups, and we have public meetings that are part of our council meetings, our planning commission meetings, where any citizen can come up and give their opinion. So a lot of different ways to give us feedback, and we love getting customer feedback. So back to Baldrige criteria and how we use the assessment process and the feedback process through Baldrige. One of the things that we were told we needed to improve is that we need to review and analyze feedback across our feedback avenues. In English, what this means is, so we've got comment cards coming in. We've got a big system called Contact Henderson, where customers can ask a question or give us information or enter a complaint. So what we got on the feedback report from our last visit from examiners is you need to figure out a way to overlap all these mechanisms and start trending out what customers are telling you, right? Is there a complaint trend that you need to address? Is there a compliment trend that you need to address? And in retrospect, this makes perfect sense, but we didn't really realize this or think about this until we got that feedback report from the SWAY examiners that came. So now one of the things we did is our customer service strategist looks at the data in both our comment cards and Contact Henderson to identify trends for complaints. We look both long-term and short-term. If there are any complaint trends long-term, those will go into our strategic plan. If there's any big spikes in complaints short-term, we have meetings called operations review meetings where all of our directors go, so we can bring that to their attention and address it as soon as possible. We also added a process where when a comment card comes in, back in the old days, what would happen is it would just sit there for a quarter until we reported the data to the department. But now what we do is we go in every day, my team does, we go in every day and we will grab any complaints, any highly satisfied or highly dissatisfied comment cards. We will put that into our software system called Contact Henderson, which is our customer relationship management system, and it will be entered as a case. And that case automatically routes to the department so they can see it and address it and respond to the customer right away. So now the customer is getting a personalized response. So I'll give you an example. I said a lot in a short amount of time. Let me give you an example. I'm a customer. I came in and I went to business license and they made me wait for 30 minutes and the lady that helped me was not giving me the premier customer service standard. I felt she was a little rude. So I went and took the comment card and I put, I'm highly dissatisfied. I give this transaction a 1. And this person, Ruby, she was just rude to me. I didn't feel like she addressed my concerns and I didn't get everything I needed done. The old process would have been, it just sat there in our comment card data for a quarter, and then we would report that to the department. So now it's stale, right? 3 months have gone by. Customers well down has left and it's over, right? And they have this bad perception of the city. The new process is every day we go in, grab the highly dissatisfied cards out, put them into our customer relationship system, and it gets routed. So that comment card would be input into the CRM, get routed to the business license supervisor the next day. The business license supervisor could talk to Ruby about what occurred and also respond to the customer because we get the customer's email address on the comment cards. So this is just, I didn't think of this idea. This was a suggestion that came from one of our OPI team members, but I think it is just such an elegant enhancement for our customers and also for our departments because they're getting instant information about customer transactions, and also the customer is getting next day feedback. You know, the business license supervisor can say, hey, I'm really sorry you had a bad experience with Ruby. We hope you'll come visit us again. Here's what other services we offer. Thank you so much for visiting us. So maybe we can shore up and make that turn that bad relationship into a good transaction, right? So I hope that provided a little bit more light on that process. And after this presentation, anytime we're going to give our contact information, both mine and my customer service strategist. Please feel free, if anything's unclear or you want more information, please feel free to reach out to us, give us a call or email, and we're happy to walk through any of this information with you in more detail. It's a lot of information in a short amount of time, I realize. So moving along, our customer feedback, we also use comparisons and benchmarking. We look at all of our local comparisons. What do they get on their comment card scores? What are they getting on their community assessment survey? What can we improve? And we also look nationally. So we have 4 cities who have won a National Baldrige Award. That's what we consider our benchmark cities. Fort Collins is one. We also look at cities that have a 90% or better quality of life. We are constantly looking and talking to them about their customer service approaches. I can say I have not found another government organization that has a full-blown customer service program with measurements and a standard like we do, but there's bits and pieces that you can take from other organizations to make your program better. So there's always something to learn, right, when you do comparisons and benchmarking. So what is next for the city's premier customer service approach? Well, as I mentioned, we're in the process of a training rollout. It is a huge push for us. We're going to do a train the trainer approach because we do have, 2,500 full and part-time employees, and we only have one customer service strategist, Lucas. So Lucas is going to be doing a train the trainer, and he's going to go out and train 1 or 2 people in each department, and then they're going to roll it out to their areas. So we got a big push, probably March through July, August, of rolling out the training on all this. After that, we're going to do communication, both internal and external, to our customers and our team members about the philosophy and ensure that everybody understands how important this is to the organization. We want to increase our response rate. We're brainstorming ways with departments to find new avenues and new ways to get that common card link out there so we get more responses from customers and more feedback. Right now, we're really focused on external customers, but the standard applies to internal customers as well, meaning department to department and employee to employee transactions. So once we roll out the training program, we're going to turn that focus to internal. How do we measure customer service internally from department and department? Same standards apply, right? You should minimize call wait time. You shouldn't make folks wait on email responses. So that's next on the agenda is our internal approaches. Looking at technology, how can we offer more processes online? How can we use real-time measures? That's another thing we learned on our feedback report that we get an OFE we got. How do you measure real-time data? So we're thinking about ways and looking at ways to maybe have that queue list data looked at live so we can see when lines are getting too long and adjust processes, bring on more people or whatever we need to do to make sure that we're hitting that target wait time. Strategic plan, I mentioned that. We looked at some things on our customer feedback from the citywide survey. There were some things that were mentioned about, we noticed that business customers have lower satisfaction than residential customers. So we have put something on our strategic plan to look at the way we interact and provide outreach to business customers. And then finally, Baldrige feedback. That is our go-to. We firmly believe in the Baldrige criteria and the assessment process. Even if we are lucky enough to get a National Baldrige Award next year on the first go-around, we will go back down to the regional level. We will continue to do this assessment process every other year. We feel it's very valuable to our organization to get that outside assessment using the Baldrige criteria. Everybody on my team either has received or will receive examiner feedback so they understand the criteria. We have the 5 programs that are based around the criteria. We have strategic planning, customer service, change management, data and performance management, and customer service. Did I already say customer service? Anyway, we have 5 programs that are based on the criteria. So it's very important that we understand the criteria. So when we're structuring and deploying our programs, that we are using all those elements. And here's a great picture, the fun part, the funner part of the customer service program. You know, we've got the standards, but we've also got the people. People are what make customer service tick. They are the ones that provide our top-notch premier customer service. We have a customer service week every year. It's a big to-do. We have dress-up days. We have theme days during the work week. And a couple years ago, we had a superhero day. So you see everybody here dressed up in their favorite superhero costumes, and up there on the right, that's our own Wonder Woman, our former mayor, Mayor Deborah March, who is huge on customer service and is a great example and Wonder Woman for our organization. We recently got a new mayor, Mayor Romero, but Mayor March made a lasting impact on our organization. So there she is in the upper right-hand corner. These are the real superheroes. And then finally, I know I just threw a whole bunch of information about you. The program is very robust. There are a lot of elements. I just covered a lot of information. We are going to have a few minutes here at the end for questions, but if there is anything that you want to deep dive on or you'd like to ask questions about, there's our phone numbers and our email addresses. Please feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to share information, and maybe we can learn from you as well. We always like those opportunities. So with that, that is the end of my presentation. I'm going to turn it back over to Margot. Margot, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Polly. So if you have any questions for Polly, you can either raise your hand and I will unmute your microphone, or you can type it in the question box in the control panel and we can read it off to her. But like Polly said, she provided a lot of really great information. And if you would like to ask any questions about that, that content that she's presented, we would be happy to address it.
I love questions. Come on and ask me some questions.
Well, I'll ask a question while we're waiting to see if some from our audience. But first of all, just the practicality of your Premier Customer Service standard is fantastic, and how you've aligned it to your measures of success. And congratulations on taking your comment card from quarterly addressing the customers to daily. That is just a fantastic result. But Polly, could you share a little bit on, you talked about the steering committee and they were responsible for developing the the Premier Customer Service standard. Could you talk a little bit about what they did and what went into that development process?
Yeah, so one of our values is collaboration. So something that was key is in developing the standard, we have such a wide variety of departments and services that we provide. So it was going to be a little bit of a lift to develop a standard and measures that applied to everybody, right? So we knew right off the bat that in alignment with our value of collaboration, we needed a steering group to get buy-in, but also to provide the input on how are we going to find something that works for every department. So the directors of each department designated one or two people. Most of the people that are on the steering committee are customer service managers in their respective areas. They are people that understand their business processes and who are empowered to make decisions regarding customer service in their areas. So that is who comprises the committee. And so we held a meeting and we just basically asked them two questions. We had them write on boards and we said, number one, we want you to describe what you think is unique to the city of Henderson when we deliver customer service. So there are some elements that apply to any customer service interaction in any organization. There's a few of those in our standard, but what are the things that are unique to us that when you train your team members, you want to see in every interaction? So they wrote those out on a board and we consolidated those down, and eventually they became the Premier Customer Service Standard. And then we also, the second question we asked them is, how do you measure that you're doing a good job at customer service? So they all wrote those out of the board. And we just did a cross section, what were we seeing across all the boards and all the areas, and that's how we developed the measures of success. So this committee were the ones that drove and defined the standard, but they're also the ones that are going to help us push it through the organization and ensure that it's being used in all their different areas. So they are a huge piece to this puzzle. And I would highly recommend any organizations that are considering launching or implementing a customer service program to start with this work group approach to help enable your success.
Great. Thank you, Polly. We do have someone with their hand raised. I'm going to unmute Michael Reed.
Hi, Michael.
Oh,
Hello, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm from the city of Alexandria in Parks and Recs Department, and I just wanted to say with a lot of your bullet points in your presentation that I was thinking that although we're talking about external customers, I see how this can really be applied to the internal customers also, that I think it'll really help, from what I've learned from your presentation today to kind of help move things along in my department. But more so, I had a question about, you mentioned a certain process or application to where if a customer had a response and they weren't satisfied, that you send it through some kind of system, I forgot what you called it, that it'll get rerouted through the system to where it gets high priority, to where they get a more personalized response, showing that you're more empathetic to their situation. I want to see if you can elaborate on that more, and actually what was the name of that process called that you had?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That's a great question. So we use SurveyMonkey to hold the data and deploy our comment card. So it has 5 questions. So there's a link that the customer goes out to SurveyMonkey. And then there's a separate system. The system is called Comcate, and any organization can purchase that software. We call it the Comcate software here at Henderson. We call it Contact Henderson. And it is a customer relationship management system. Customers can enter their name and email, and it creates an account for them. Or they can just enter one case, and they can pick from a variety of topics. So they can ask a question about how to have a code enforcement person come out about a yard that has junker cars in it, or they can request information on a business license, or they can just get information in the system, and it will route that case to the appropriate department and person, so they get a personalized response. So we've always used this Contact Henderson system to interact with customers, to ensure that we're tracking and acting on their requests and giving them information. But the 2 systems were separate. So SurveyMonkey was on one side, and this customer relationship system was on another. So what we did, my team bridged that gap. They go into the SurveyMonkey every day, and any customers that are highly dissatisfied or highly satisfied, we enter that case in Contact Henderson, and it gets routed to the department, and then the department can respond to the customer and address that issue through that case. I will tell you too that it's not just about complaints, right? It's about compliments too. So when we get a highly satisfied comment card in, we also go into, we have an employee award called a high 5. We will input that into the high 5. So the customer can click a box on the comment card, and now the team member gets that high 5 the next day versus 3 months or 4 months down the road. And it's great because that transaction is fresh in their mind, and they're getting more timely feedback on that transaction. So
Thank you. I really appreciate your response.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So the system's called Comcate. City of Fort Collins, I believe, I'm not 100% sure if they use Comcate, but they also have a customer relationship management system. If you look out at some best, I don't know if City of Alexandria has a citywide CRM, but if you look out online at some of these high-performing cities, you'll see they usually have some sort of system where folks can input questions and requests and interact with the city that way.
okay, we have a few more questions typed in, Polly. So one is, how will your training sessions be delivered? Is it remotely or face-to-face?
So we're going to do a train the trainer, and then the trainer in the department is going to deploy it. We will encourage them to offer that training when they deploy it virtually. We have learned, and I'm sure this is where you're going with your question, we have learned since the pandemic, giving them avenues, different avenues for training and meetings is the way to go, because we have field staff spread out everywhere, and sometimes people just can't make it to a face-to-face training. So we are going to encourage that the trainers offer it both virtually and in person. There's some exercises we're going to do during the trainings. We prefer that they come in person because there's some actual face-to-face exercises that we're going to do, but I think we should offer the avenue of doing it virtually as well. And we are going to offer an on-demand avenue. That's kind of the third way we're going to offer it. On demand. When people begin with the city, they'll get that on-demand training, and we'll probably put the on-demand option online so everybody can access it at any time. So various avenues for them to get the training is the goal for sure.
Great. And then another question is, how does the Baldrige concept of relationship management integrate into the model presented and the service standards?
Okay, that's a good question too. I think the customer relationship system that we use, Contact Henderson, is a big piece of that. The customer relationship system tracks once a customer interacts with us, we can see all the different ways that they're touching us, right? So you can look up a customer's name and it'll pull up all their cases and all the different ways that they interact with us. One of the things we're working on is building a portal, so customers can access all the different services in one spot. That's another way we're trying to build relationships with customers and kind of track those interactions. Those are two examples. I hope I'm addressing your question. If not, give me a little bit more information.
Great. And they could contact you offline too. So
absolutely. I hope the relationship management can mean a lot different things to different people, but I'm just going to answer it super high level, and that is one of the main tools we use is this customer relationship management system called Contact Henderson, and kind of tracking the way we're interacting with customers and working with them. I know the administrator of the system, if customers are having problems getting information, we constantly monitor that they're getting feedback and getting answers to their questions, and the system administrator will call customers personally. We are also tracking to see, starting to look at the different ways that customers use our services by monitoring their account and their interactions on Contact Henderson, and that will go into that portal that we're trying to create, a one-stop shop environment. So if they are interacting with us through different departments and different services, that we are providing them the ability to do that more easily.
Great. And I think you answered the question. We got to thank you back from the person that asked. And then how do you prioritize the Baldrige feedback in your strategic planning? That
is a wonderful question. It took us many years to figure that out. Because you're absolutely, I get where you're headed with this question. There's a lot of great feedback that comes in through a feedback report. And so, as I mentioned, we've applied 4 times, and so that's 4 feedback reports, and I think each feedback report is about 30 pages long. There is a lot of detailed feedback, and it's all great. So OPI, my team, looks at all that feedback. We have programs aligned with the criteria, so what we try and do is kind of look at each one of us that has our category. We look at the application and the feedback for our category to improve our own programs. We also, at a higher level, the directors, we have a strategic planning team. We have a priority called High Performing Public Service. And what they do is they look at the feedback as well. So I'm on that team, and we take all the feedback we get and we prioritize it by looking at lowest cost, highest impact. lowest cost, highest impact. So then after we prioritize it that way, we look at time frame to implement. So if it's something that's going to take, you know, a couple days and my team can do it, it's not going to go on the strategic plan. But if it's something that's a heavy lift, it's going to take, you know, 3-4 years to get it done, that goes on the strategic plan. And normally we pick the top 5 things that are strategic from that prioritization to put on the strategic plan. So, because you can't do everything on the feedback report, but we try and do as much as we can. So to answer your question quickly, we look short-term, long-term, then we prioritize it by looking at lowest cost, highest impact. And then for the strategic plan, we pick the top 5 things. And so our last feedback report, what came to the surface was customer service and how we're looking at customer service data. And that went on the strategic plan because we knew this was going to be a multiple year endeavor, right? And customer service program is going to go on and on and on, but the implementation of it, we knew it was going to be a 2 or 3 year lift.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Polly. Our time has come to an end, and you provided a lot of great information and practical examples of how organizations can improve their customer service. So thank you for your time today and for sharing your best practices. I now would like to introduce our webinar for next month. So on March 16th, we have Stephanie Norling joining us. Stephanie's the Executive Director of Communities of Excellence, and she's going to talk about their commitment to delivering community performance excellence. So she'll provide you with an update on the communities that they've been working with and their performance journeys, and describe how their experiences have led to a new strategy. So we hope you can join us. We'll be sending out information after this webinar with a link to register for that webinar. We also just want to thank you on behalf of all the programs that host this for joining us and being part of our communities. If you have not started your Baldridge journey and you are interested in getting started, here are the contacts for each of the programs that are hosting these. If you're not from one of these programs, you can go to the Baldridge Alliance website and find the contacts for your state. So thank you again, everyone. Hope to see you next month, and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.